Hi, boys and girls. Nana Sharon here with Bella and Posey, and Papa is behind the camera. Today I want to read you a story, so let's sit down, fold our hands, and get ready to listen. This book is Raggedy Ann and Andy in the Tunnel of Lost Toys by Catherine Bushnell, illustrated by Vernon McKissick. Raggedy Ann and Andy in the Tunnel of Lost Toys. One sunny Saturday, Marcella ran into the playroom. "Wake up, Raggedy Ann! Wake up, Raggedy Andy! We are going to the amusement park today." Raggedy Ann's painted smile grew even wider. "Oh boy," said Raggedy Andy, "I can hardly wait. I want to go on the roller coaster 200 times. They went on many rides in the amusement park. Raggedy Ann liked the merry-go-round best of all. Andy liked the Ferris wheel better. It took them up very high, but it wasn't high enough for Andy. Late in the afternoon, Marcella said, "Well, Raggedy Ann and Andy, we have time for only one more ride. What shall it be?" Raggedy Andy opened his mouth to shout, "The Hurricane Daredevil roller coaster, Marcella. That's what I want." Ann gave him a quick frown, and he stopped. After all, no one must know that dolls can't talk. Not even for a ride on the Hurricane Daredevil roller coaster. "The Tunnel of Fun," Marcella claimed. "I think we will do that." "Phooey," Andy muttered. "Little boats on a river. That's going to be boring. A brave, tough boy like me needs action." Raggedy Ann smiled to herself. She knew that the Tunnel of Fun would give Andy a big surprise. They settled themselves in the boat. Just as they entered the tunnel, spooky music began to play. Around the corner, an eerie light began to glow. Raggedy Andy mumbled, I don't think very much of this ride so far." Wow! He nearly fell off the seat in surprise. A purple witch came screaming out of the darkness. "Maybe this isn't so tame after all," he said. "But don't you worry, Annie. I'll take care of you and Marcella." The Raggedy's little boat passed many exciting scenes. Vampires and monsters and pirates and skeletons popped out from all directions. Even Andy's shoe-button eyes were very wide. The boat turned another corner. Raggedy Ann cried, "Oh, I think I hear a waterfall ahead." Sure enough, there was a very steep slope of rushing water. Sitting in the cave at the edge of the waterfall was the biggest, fiercest dragon they had ever seen. He had green scales sparkling with gold glitter. His orange eyes gleamed and he breathed blue flames over the water. "Look," Andy said, "if we go near him, we'll be burned up." "Don't worry, Andy," she laughed. "His flames stop just as each little boat passes him. See, it's very safe." But Raggedy Ann was wrong. Near the dragon's cave hung two long strings. Raggedy Ann felt one of them brush her face as they passed. Suddenly, a tiny hook on the end of the string caught on her dress. Andy was hooked too. Both of them were pulled up and left hanging in the air in front of that dragon. It happened so fast that Marcella did not even notice. She sailed away down the waterfall. "Poor Marcella," said Anne. "She will be very worried. I wonder who put these strings here." "I did," said the dragon. He unhooked them very carefully. "You are my prisoners," he growled. The dragon carried them to a room with a deep hole in the floor. The sides of the hole were much too steep to climb. Many other toys were in the hole. "You will stay here," he told Ann and Andy, and he put them into the pit. "Why are you doing this?" cried Raggedy Ann. "My job is to scare people." Oh, sorry. My job is to scare people, said the dragon. Now your friend will be very scared for you. That's not the right kind of scared, said Anne. That's worry scared, not fun surprise scared. People should be happy when they come here. The dragon was very puzzled. He said, I must think about this. And he went away. In the pit, the other toys ran to greet the Raggedys. There was a pink octopus, a crying baby doll, a painted rocking horse, and a wonderful cowboy doll with spurs and a big hat. My name is Cowboy Mike, said the doll. Who are you? I'm Raggedy Ann, and this is my brother, Raggedy Andy, Ann said. You poor things, I wish I could think of a way to help us all. The wishing pebble in her cotton stuffing heard her wish and gave her an idea. I know, she cried. Andy is a very brave boy. He is also very light. If he stands on the head of the rocking horse and we all jump on the tail, Andy will fly out of the pit. Yes, said Cowboy Mike, and he can carry my rope so we can all climb out. Raggedy Andy was not very happy about this, but he bravely climbed onto the horse's head. Okay, jump, he said. All the dolls jumped very hard on the back of the horse, and Andy sailed out of the hole. Andy lowered the rope. The ballerina climbed up first. The stuffed dog sat on her shoulders. Dancers were very strong, so she didn't mind at all. Excuse me. Then Raggedy Ann went up the rope. Cowboy Mike followed. At the top, Raggedy Ann looked down. Oh dear, she said. The baby can't climb. What shall we do? The pink octopus waved one of his arms as if to say, Don't worry. Then he tied the end of the rope around the rocking horse. He put his long arms around the baby doll and carried her up the rope. Everyone cheered, but they did it very quietly so the dragon wouldn't hear. Then all the toys pulled on the rope together. The rocking horse came up too. They all ran to the door, but when they opened it, the dragon was waiting. He roared loudly and made terrible faces at them. You cannot leave, he shouted. I'll eat you. Raggedy Ann said, You can't fool us, Mr. Dragon. We think you're just lonely. That's why you're so mean. The dragon stopped jumping up and down. You are right, Raggedy Ann. I have been mean. But how could anyone like a scary dragon? That is very silly, she said. Everyone likes you. Besides, you cannot steal friends. Just then, one of the little houseboats floated past them. Mother, there is the big dragon, a boy said. I like him best. You see, everyone comes to the Tunnel of Fun ride. They're your friend, Raggedy Ann said. Oh, thank you, Raggedy Ann, said the dragon. I must get back to work. I promise I'll remember to be only happy, surprising, scary from now on. Oh, Raggedy Ann, you saved us, cried the ballerina. All the toys thanked her very much. Then Andy said, How are our owners going to find us? They're not going to look for us in this cave. Don't be so gloomy, Andy, said Cowboy Mike. Your sister Ann is a very good thinker. She will help us. Raggedy Ann sat down on a rock. Suddenly she jumped up and cried, I have it! Here is what we do. We must wait until all the people have gone. Then we will run to the Lost and Found department and sit down on a shelf. I will write a small note to the Lost and Found man. Raggedy Ann wrote, Dear Mr. Lost and Found Man, I found these toys in the Tunnel of Fun. Please take care of them. And she signed it Handyman Fred. The next morning, the Lost and Found man was very surprised indeed. There were 8 new toys on his shelf. He read the note and nodded his head. Well, well, he said, I must put a notice in the newspaper for the owners of these toys, and these must be the two Raggedys that Marcella was so worried about yesterday. I will call her right away. Back home in the playroom at last, Marcella tucked Raggedy Ann and Andy into bed. You two had an adventure, she said. You must be very tired. Sleep well. She turned out the light and closed the door very softly. Raggedy Ann sighed sleepily. How lucky we were to be able to help those toys get back home. We made the dragon happy, too. But you and I know that the toys were just as lucky. They made two friends as special as Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy.